The bank statement trembles in my hands as I stare at the balance that should have been $350,000, the exact amount needed for the down payment on our dream house in Malibu Hills, but instead shows a devastating zero with a transaction history that makes my blood run cold because every single withdrawal over the past 3 months has been authorized by Melissa Chen, my fiancée of 4 years, the woman who promised me forever while secretly draining our future to fund her ex-boyfriend Jake Morrison's 3rd stint in a luxury rehabilitation center in Switzerland that costs more per month than most people make in a year. "You don't understand, David," Melissa says as she stands in the doorway of our shared apartment, her designer handbag clutched against her chest like armor, her perfectly manicured nails catching the afternoon light as she gestures helplessly. "Jake's mother called me crying, begging for help because their family has already spent everything on his previous treatments, and this was supposed to be his last chance at recovery, his final opportunity to get clean and build a meaningful life, and I couldn't just stand by and watch him destroy himself when I had the power to save him." The words hit me like physical blows, each syllable a testament to how little our 4 years together mean to her, how easily she can justify betraying the trust we built while saving for our future. The countless nights I worked overtime at the architectural firm, skipping dinners and canceling weekend plans to build something beautiful for us both, only to discover that she values her toxic ex-boyfriend's well-being more than our shared dreams. More than the life we planned together in that perfect house overlooking the Pacific Ocean, where we were supposed to start our family and grow old watching sunsets from our wraparound deck. $350,000, Melissa, I say, and my voice sounds hollow even to my own ears because the magnitude of her betrayal is still sinking in, still processing through my mind like a computer trying to comprehend data that doesn't compute. That was everything we had, every sacrifice I made, every bonus I earned, every penny we saved over 4 years of building a life together, and you gave it all to him without even discussing it with me, without considering what this would do to us, to our future, to the trust that was supposed to be the foundation of our marriage. She steps closer, her eyes filling with tears that I once would have found heartbreaking, but now recognize as manipulation. The same weapon she probably used on Jake's mother to extract money from our account. The same emotional leverage she's wielding now to make me the villain in this story, where she's the hero saving someone who couldn't save himself. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be, but I was planning to tell you after Jake got better, after he completed the program and proved that the money was well spent, that we actually helped save a human life instead of just buying another house when there are so many people suffering in this world who need our help more than we need granite countertops and ocean views. The casual way she dismisses our dreams, reducing 4 years of planning and sacrifice to granite countertops and ocean views, reveals how little she understands about what that house represented to me, to us, how it was never about luxury or status, but about creating a sanctuary where we could build something lasting, something meaningful, a place where our children could grow up safe and loved, where we could host family gatherings and create memories that would sustain us through whatever challenges life might bring. But apparently her loyalty lies elsewhere, with a man who chose drugs over her repeatedly, and will undoubtedly choose them again because addiction doesn't disappear just because someone throws money at it. "You could have asked me," I say, fighting to keep my voice level even though every instinct screams for me to shout, to rage, to demand answers that will never satisfy me because there is no explanation that can justify this level of betrayal. This complete disregard for our partnership, our future, our marriage, that was supposed to happen in 8 months at the venue we already booked with money, I now realize probably came from the same account she so casually emptied. You could have explained the situation, shown me the need, asked for my input on how we might help within our means, but instead you made a unilateral decision that affects both our lives, that destroys everything we worked for, that demonstrates you don't see me as an equal partner, but as a convenient source of funds for your rescue missions." Melissa's tears fall harder now, streaming down her cheeks in carefully orchestrated rivulets that would have moved me to comfort her in the past. But today they feel like rain on concrete, sliding off without penetrating because I finally see them for what they are. Tools of manipulation. Weapons of emotional warfare designed to shift blame and avoid accountability for choices that have consequences. I never meant for it to happen like this, David. I swear on my mother's grave that I was going to pay it all back once Jake got clean and started earning money again, once he could contribute to his own recovery costs and free up resources for us to rebuild what we lost. But I couldn't let him die knowing I had the power to save him. Couldn't live with myself if he overdosed while our money sat in a bank account earning interest. The mention of paying it back reveals how fundamentally she misunderstands both addiction and our relationship. How she believes that money given to an addict will somehow return multiplied, that Jake Morrison, who has failed rehab twice before, will emerge from this third attempt as a productive member of society capable of repaying $350,000, that trust once broken can be rebuilt with promises and good intentions rather than consistent actions over time. Melissa, he's been to rehab twice before with his family's money. And both times he was using again within 6 months of graduation, within weeks of promising his mother that this time would be different, that he finally understood what he was doing to himself and everyone who loved him. So what makes you think that our money will achieve different results than his family's money? That this expensive facility in Switzerland will succeed where the others failed? She flinches at the question, because she knows I'm right. Knows that her decision was based on emotion rather than logic, on guilt rather than reason, on a misplaced sense of responsibility for a man who chose to leave her for drugs multiple times during their relationship, who broke her heart repeatedly before she finally found the strength to move on and build something real with me. Sometimes people need multiple attempts before recovery takes hold, she says. But her voice lacks conviction now, the careful justifications crumbling under the weight of evidence that suggests otherwise, that points toward an uncomfortable truth about enabling versus helping, about throwing good money after bad in service of an addiction that has already consumed everything Jake's family could provide. I walk to the window overlooking the city where we've lived together for 2 years. The view that was supposed to be temporary while we saved for something better, something ours. And I realize that Melissa never truly committed to our future the way I did, never felt the same urgency to escape this rental life and build something permanent, something that would outlast us both and provide security for the family we planned to create together. The wedding is off, I say quietly, and the words feel both devastating and liberating because they represent the end of everything I thought I wanted, and the beginning of clarity about what I actually need in a partner, what qualities matter when building a life with someone who will have access to everything you've worked for, everything you've dreamed of, everything you've sacrificed to achieve. "David, please, we can work through this," Melissa pleads, reaching for my arm with the same hands that signed the withdrawal slips, that transferred our future to a man who views money as fuel for his self-destruction, who will burn through $350,000 as easily as he burned through his family's resources and his own potential for recovery. We can rebuild the savings, start over, maybe even find a different house that costs less and gives us more space to grow into. But please don't let Jake's addiction destroy what we have together. Don't let his problems become our problems in a way that ends our relationship permanently. But that's exactly what has happened. What she made happen when she chose his needs over our partnership, his recovery over our future, his mother's tears over my trust. and no amount of pleading can undo the fundamental incompatibility that this decision has revealed between us, the difference in values and priorities that makes marriage impossible, even if we could somehow rebuild the financial foundation she demolished without my knowledge or consent. It's not about the money, Melissa, I say, turning to face her one final time, memorizing the face I once thought I'd wake up next to for the rest of my life, the woman I believed would be the mother of my children, the partner who would stand beside me through whatever challenges life might bring. It's about the fact that when faced with the biggest financial decision of our relationship, you chose to handle it alone, to prioritize someone else's needs over our partnership, to break the trust that was supposed to be sacred between us. She sobs openly now, the composed facade finally cracking to reveal the guilt and fear beneath, the knowledge that she has destroyed something irreplaceable in service of something hopeless, that she has traded a certain future for an uncertain gamble that will almost certainly fail, because addiction rarely responds to money the way addicts and their enablers hope it will. I love you, David. I love you more than I ever loved Jake, more than I've ever loved anyone. And I know I made a terrible mistake, but please don't give up on us. Please don't let one bad decision erase 4 good years. 4 years of building something beautiful together. But one decision can erase everything when it's the right decision, when it reveals character traits that were hidden during easier times, when it demonstrates how someone responds under pressure and makes choices when they think no one is watching, when they believe they can act unilaterally and ask forgiveness rather than permission because they fundamentally misunderstand the nature of partnership and the sacred trust that makes marriage possible between 2 autonomous human beings. The months that follow blur together in a haze of lawyers and dividing possessions, of breaking leases and canceling wedding vendors, of explaining to friends and family that the relationship they thought was solid actually had fault lines that we never saw until the pressure became too great and everything collapsed in ways that seemed impossible just weeks before the devastation became undeniable. Melissa moves back in with her parents while I find a studio apartment downtown, a space so small that it feels like a prison cell compared to the life we planned together. The future that shrunk from a house overlooking the Pacific to a single room overlooking a parking garage where broken dreams go to die slowly and quietly, without witnesses to their dissolution. Jake Morrison completes his Swiss rehabilitation program with great fanfare and social media posts about new beginnings and grateful hearts, about second chances and the angels who made his recovery possible. But within 3 months, he's arrested for possession of methamphetamines in his mother's driveway, the expensive sobriety having lasted exactly 97 days before he chose his addiction over everyone who sacrificed for him, proving that money cannot buy recovery for someone who doesn't truly want it, who sees treatment as a vacation rather than the hard work of rebuilding a life destroyed by poor choices and chemical dependency. I throw myself into work with an intensity that surprises my colleagues, staying late to perfect building designs that push architectural boundaries, volunteering for the difficult commercial projects that other architects avoid because they require innovation rather than following established patterns. And slowly my reputation grows within the firm as someone who can solve impossible spatial problems and create beauty from the most challenging constraints. The pain of betrayal transforms into fuel for creativity. The energy I once invested in planning a shared future now channeled into building a professional reputation that will sustain me through whatever comes next, whatever opportunities present themselves to someone willing to work harder than everyone else in pursuit of excellence rather than just adequacy. 2 years pass in this rhythm of work and solitude, of building something meaningful in my professional life while maintaining careful distance from emotional entanglements that might lead to the kind of vulnerability that allowed Melissa to destroy my trust so completely. But then fate intervenes in the form of a new client consultation at the firm, a meeting that will change everything in ways I cannot yet imagine as I prepare to present design concepts for a luxury residential development in the hills overlooking the city where I once planned to build my own dream home. Sarah Wellington walks into the conference room like sunlight breaking through storm clouds, her presence immediately commanding attention, not through ostentation or artificial charm, but through the kind of quiet confidence that comes from knowing exactly who you are and what you want from life, from work, from the people around you who either contribute to your goals or distract from them with drama and neediness and endless emotional chaos. She's the youngest partner at Wellington Development, having inherited her position through both bloodline and merit, having proven herself capable of managing multi-million-dollar projects while maintaining the family company's reputation for quality and integrity that spans 3 generations of successful real estate ventures throughout California. "Mr. Chen," she says, extending her hand with a firm grip that immediately communicates respect for my time and expertise. "I've reviewed your portfolio extensively, and I'm particularly impressed with your work on the Morrison Medical Center. The way you managed to create healing spaces within strict budget constraints while incorporating natural light and sustainable materials that support both patient recovery and environmental responsibility." The irony of her praising work that shares a name with my ex-fiance's destructive ex-boyfriend isn't lost on me, but I push aside the bitter memories to focus on this opportunity that could reshape my career trajectory in ways that seemed impossible during the dark months after my relationship ended. She wants to discuss a project that will require 2 years of intensive collaboration, a luxury development that will set new standards for sustainable architecture while providing homes for families who value both environmental responsibility and sophisticated design. And as she outlines her vision, I realize that this is exactly the kind of challenge I've been preparing for without knowing it. The opportunity to prove that my skills extend beyond solving other people's problems to creating something entirely new and beautiful in the world. "The budget is substantial," Sarah continues, sliding a folder across the conference table that contains preliminary figures that make my pulse quicken, because they represent the kind of career-defining project that most architects only dream about, the chance to work with unlimited resources to create something that will outlast everyone in this room and serve as a monument to thoughtful design and environmental stewardship. But more importantly, I'm looking for a partner who shares my commitment to excellence over profit, innovation over convention, long-term value over short-term gain. The word partner resonates differently now than it would have 3 years ago when I thought I understood what partnership meant, when I believed it involved sharing everything and trusting completely and building futures together that could withstand whatever challenges life might present. But now I hear it as a professional opportunity to collaborate with someone who values the same things I value, who approaches work with the same intensity and commitment that I bring to every project, who understands that true partnership requires mutual respect and shared accountability rather than one person making unilateral decisions that affect both parties. Over the following months, Sarah and I develop a working relationship that gradually evolves into something deeper and more meaningful than either of us expected when we first shook hands in that conference room and agreed to embark on this ambitious project together. She approaches collaboration the way I do, with thorough preparation and honest communication, and a willingness to debate ideas until we reach solutions that neither of us could have developed alone. And I find myself looking forward to our meetings with an anticipation that has nothing to do with professional advancement and everything to do with the pleasure of working with someone who challenges me to think differently about space and light, and the ways that architecture can support human flourishing. Unlike Melissa, who saw my dedication to work as competition for her attention, Sarah celebrates my passion for architecture and pushes me to take risks that lead to innovations neither of us anticipated when we started this journey together. And I realize that this is what partnership should feel like. Two people building something larger than themselves while maintaining their individual identities and goals, supporting each other's growth, rather than demanding sacrifice for the sake of artificial harmony that benefits no one in the long run. The project exceeds everyone's expectations, earning recognition from the California Architecture Council and attracting buyers who are willing to pay premium prices for homes that demonstrate how luxury and sustainability can coexist in ways that enhance both human comfort and environmental health. And suddenly my name appears in industry publications alongside Sarah's as innovators who are reshaping residential development through thoughtful design and collaborative leadership that prioritizes long-term value over short-term profit maximization. "We make a good team," Sarah says, as we stand in the model home that represents the culmination of 2 years of intensive collaboration, the space bathed in natural light that filters through strategically placed windows and skylights, every detail reflecting our shared commitment to creating environments that support both beauty and function in equal measure. I've never worked with an architect who understands so intuitively how design can serve both human needs and environmental responsibility without compromising either one. The compliment means more coming from her than similar praise from other clients, because I know she doesn't offer empty flattery or artificial encouragement, that her words reflect genuine appreciation for work well done and partnership that enhanced rather than complicated the creative process, that brought out the best in both of us rather than forcing either to compromise their vision for the sake of peace or convenience or avoiding difficult conversations about quality and standards. As we walk through the house that exists because of our collaboration, I realize that I'm falling in love with her in ways that feel completely different from what I experienced with Melissa, deeper and more sustainable because it's built on mutual respect and shared values rather than emotional dependency and romantic fantasies about futures that require sacrifice from one partner for the benefit of the other. And for the first time since my engagement ended, I can imagine building a life with someone who would enhance rather than complicate my goals and dreams. Sarah feels the same connection, the same recognition that we've found something rare and valuable in each other. Something worth nurturing and protecting from the chaos and drama that destroy so many relationships, where people confuse intensity for intimacy, where they mistake emotional manipulation for love, where they enable each other's worst impulses rather than inspiring each other to become better versions of themselves through challenge and support and honest feedback delivered with kindness, but without compromise. 6 months later, Sarah and I announce our engagement at the project completion celebration, surrounded by colleagues and clients who have watched our professional partnership evolve into something personal and profound. And I realize that this is how love should feel. Like coming home to yourself rather than losing yourself in someone else's needs and demands and emotional chaos that masquerades as passion, but actually represents the absence of genuine intimacy and trust. The wedding is everything Melissa and I never could have achieved together, not because of the budget or the venue or the guest list, but because it represents the union of two people who have already proven they can build something beautiful together, who understand partnership as collaboration rather than sacrifice, who celebrate each other's strengths rather than exploiting each other's weaknesses for emotional leverage or financial gain or psychological control disguised as love and concern. Standing at the altar with Sarah, I think about the path that led us here, the betrayal that felt like the end of everything, but actually marked the beginning of my real life. The destruction of one dream that made space for something better and more sustainable and more aligned with who I actually am, rather than who I thought I should be, to make someone else happy at the expense of my own values and goals and long-term well-being. During our honeymoon in Japan, where we study traditional architecture and modern innovations that blend historical wisdom with contemporary needs, Sarah tells me about her own past relationship, a man who wanted her to abandon her family business and follow him to New York, where he promised to support her while she figured out what she really wanted to do with her life. As if developing sustainable housing and creating beautiful spaces for families wasn't already exactly what she wanted to do with her life, as if her success and passion were obstacles to overcome rather than gifts to celebrate and support. He couldn't understand that I didn't need him to rescue me from my choices, she says, as we walk through the gardens at Kinkakuji Temple, the golden pavilion reflecting perfectly in the still water, a testament to the possibility of creating beauty that endures across centuries when the foundation is solid and the vision is clear. He thought love meant making me dependent on him rather than supporting my independence, and I realized that his version of partnership would require me to become someone smaller and less capable to make him feel more important and needed. I understand exactly what she means, because I see now that Melissa's betrayal revealed similar dynamics in our relationship, her need to be the hero and savior in dramatic situations that she created, or enabled, rather than building something stable and lasting with someone who challenged her to grow, rather than providing endless opportunities for rescue missions and emotional manipulation disguised as sacrifice and love. The years that follow bring success beyond anything I imagined during those dark months after my engagement ended, as Sarah and I build both a marriage and a business that amplify each other's strengths while respecting each other's autonomy, creating architectural innovations that change how people think about sustainable luxury, while maintaining the individual goals and dreams that brought us together in the first place, rather than requiring either of us to sacrifice our identity for the sake of artificial harmony. Our first child is born in the house we designed together, a home that incorporates everything we learned from our first collaboration, but reflects our personal vision of how architecture can support family life and environmental responsibility while providing beauty and comfort that will endure across generations. And I realize that this is what I was actually dreaming of during all those years with Melissa, this sense of building something lasting with someone who shares my values and goals, rather than someone who sees my resources as means to fund her emotional rescue missions. 5 years after our first project together, Sarah and I launch our own architectural firm specializing in sustainable residential development, and our reputation spreads throughout California as designers who can create luxury homes that serve both human comfort and environmental health without compromising either. And I think about how differently my life might have unfolded if Melissa hadn't betrayed my trust, how I might never have met Sarah or discovered my true potential as an architect and partner and father if my original plans had succeeded. The irony isn't lost on me that Jake Morrison's addiction, which destroyed my relationship with Melissa and derailed my original dreams, actually led me to everything I truly wanted but didn't know I was looking for during those years when I thought love meant compromise and sacrifice rather than mutual support and shared vision for creating something beautiful and meaningful together in the world. I hear occasional updates about Melissa through mutual friends who maintain contact despite the awkwardness of choosing sides after our breakup, and the news confirms everything I suspected about her pattern of relationships and financial decisions. She's currently engaged to a pharmaceutical sales representative whose ex-wife is battling cancer. And Melissa has already started a GoFundMe campaign to help with medical expenses that insurance doesn't cover, asking friends and family to contribute to someone else's crisis, while building her identity around being the person who sacrifices for others in need, as if enabling and rescuing represent the highest forms of love rather than healthy boundaries and mutual responsibility. Jake Morrison continues his cycle of recovery and relapse, currently serving an 18-month sentence for drug-related theft charges, having burned through not only the money Melissa provided, but also his mother's retirement savings and his sister's college fund before turning to stealing from employers and friends to feed an addiction that has consumed everything and everyone willing to enable his self-destruction under the guise of helping him find recovery. I feel sadness for the wasted potential and broken families, but no regret about the path that led me away from that chaos and toward the life I'm building with Sarah, who understands that love means supporting each other's growth rather than funding each other's weaknesses, that partnership requires accountability rather than endless forgiveness for repeated betrayals, that trust, once broken, requires consistent actions over time to rebuild rather than promises and tears and emotional manipulation disguised as remorse. Our second child arrives 2 years later. Another daughter who will grow up in a home where both parents model healthy partnership and mutual respect, where love is demonstrated through actions rather than dramatic gestures, where money is seen as a tool for building security and creating beauty rather than a weapon for controlling relationships or funding rescue missions for people who refuse to take responsibility for their own choices and consequences. Standing in my home office overlooking the garden where my daughters play together while Sarah works on her laptop nearby, preparing for tomorrow's client presentation about another innovative project that will push the boundaries of what's possible when architecture serves both human needs and environmental responsibility, I realize that Melissa's betrayal was actually the greatest gift she could have given me, though she certainly didn't intend it that way. By destroying my trust and derailing my original plans, she forced me to discover what I actually needed in a partner, rather than what I thought I wanted. What kind of love would sustain me through challenges and support my growth, rather than requiring me to sacrifice my values and goals for someone else's emotional needs and rescue fantasies. What partnership should feel like when two people are committed to building something beautiful together, rather than using each other to fill voids and heal wounds from previous relationships. The Dreamhouse Fund that Melissa spent on Jake's doomed rehabilitation attempt would have bought us a beautiful view and granite countertops, but it couldn't have purchased the deeper satisfaction that comes from building a life with someone who shares my values and supports my goals while maintaining her own identity and ambitions, someone who sees my success as cause for celebration rather than competition, someone who understands that true partnership enhances rather than diminishes both people involved in the collaboration. I built my dream life without Melissa in it, not out of spite or revenge, but because her betrayal revealed fundamental incompatibilities that would have destroyed our marriage eventually, better to discover before the wedding than after children and mortgages and years of resentment accumulated over unresolved differences in values and priorities and approaches to money and trust and accountability in relationships. Sometimes the greatest blessing comes disguised as the worst betrayal. And sometimes losing everything we thought we wanted is exactly what we need to discover what we actually require for lasting happiness and fulfillment, and the kind of love that builds something beautiful in the world, rather than just consuming resources and energy in service of drama and chaos and emotional rescue missions that help no one in the long run. The story ends where it began, with a choice between enabling someone else's destruction or building something meaningful with someone who shares the vision of what love should look like, when it's healthy and sustainable and based on mutual respect rather than mutual dependence. And I'm grateful every day that I chose to build rather than rescue, to create rather than enable, to love someone who enhances my life rather than complicates it with endless crises that drain resources and energy better invested in creating beauty and security and environments where families can flourish across generations. Melissa spent our dream house fund on his rehab, but I built my dream life without her in it. And every morning when I wake up next to Sarah in the home we designed together, surrounded by the evidence of what two people can create when they truly understand partnership, I know that I made the right choice, the only choice that could have led to this kind of happiness and fulfillment and sense of purpose that comes from building something lasting with someone who deserves the best I have to offer and gives the same in return, day after day, year after year, without keeping score or demanding sacrifice or using love as leverage for control or manipulation or endless emotional rescue missions that benefit no one and destroy everything beautiful they touch. This is what love should feel like, what partnership should accomplish, what dreams should become when they're built on solid foundations with the right person who shares your values and supports your growth and challenges you to become better while celebrating who you already are. And I'm grateful that Melissa's betrayal taught me the difference between settling for what's convenient and waiting for what's truly worth building a life around, even when that means starting over from nothing and discovering that nothing was actually everything I needed to find what I was really looking for all along.